Angel Reese just turned another basketball game into a blooper reel special, and Chicago Sky fans are scrambling faster than toddlers with cookie crumbs stuck on their cheeks. The coach is suddenly public enemy number one, the excuses are piling up like laundry day, and the entire Reese camp is in damage control mode. But the funniest part, while her fans point fingers and shift blame, they're also trying to inflate WNBA viewership numbers to compete with Caitlin Clark's spotlight. Spoiler: fake stats don't make missed layups disappear. The whole meltdown played out like a bad reality TV finale. Picture this. Reese had the ball in her hands, crowd buzzing, game within reach, prime time to prove herself. But instead of seizing a clutch moment, what followed was anything but professional basketball. No highlight reel, no signature play, not even a halfway respectable possession. What unfolded looked more like a parody skit than the actions of a self-proclaimed face of the league. It was so bad that box scores started to look like comedy scripts, and even the broadcasters couldn't hide their shock. This wasn't your average missed shot. This was a full-scale implosion, the kind that makes fans in the front row consider heading for the exits early, just to avoid watching the car crash in motion. It wasn't a stumble, it was a complete unraveling, like forgetting your keys, leaving the oven on, and realizing your homework's been eaten by the dog all rolled into one. Sky fans gasped as their so-called superstar turned the spotlight into a blackout, proving once again that pressure doesn't create diamonds for Reese, it creates bloopers. And then, predictably, the excuse machine revved up. Because when a star player collapses on national TV, fans don't just accept it, they launch investigations like amateur detectives. Out came the finger-pointing, the Twitter threads, the wild conspiracy theories. First target? The coach, of course, because heaven forbid anyone suggest Angel Reese simply underperformed. No, according to her fan base, it must have been bad rotations, it must have been poor play calling, it must have been sabotage by the coach himself. Never mind that Reese had the ball in her hands. Never mind that the opportunities were there. Social media turned it into a full-blown government cover-up. According to the Reese defense squad, the coach somehow failed to unlock her full potential. Forget accountability. Apparently the clipboard brigade tied her shoelaces together and whispered, "Good luck, champ," before the final possession. That's how absurd the narrative became. Angel Reese has made her triumphant return from a back injury. That's right, a back injury. Yeah, absolutely, that she had suffered at some point. That we don't exactly know at what point she's suffered said back injury. Well, it didn't take long for the Chicago Sky as an organization to get back to what it is they do best, which is the diabolical celebration of Angel Reese's double-doubles in losses. One bad game and suddenly the story wasn't about Reese fumbling another opportunity. It was about a coach who supposedly failed to cater to her every whim. They shifted from, "She's the future of the league," to, "She's just a victim of poor coaching," faster than you can say double-double. But let's be clear, this is bigger than one loss. This is about the Caitlin Clark-sized shadow hanging over everything Angel Reese touches. Because while Reese turns crunch time into chaos, Caitlin Clark is rewriting history books like it's her side gig. Clark's highlights are legendary. She drains logo threes, shatters attendance records, and turns every game into a cultural event. She doesn't just play, she elevates the entire league. Meanwhile, Reese's most memorable viral moment is choking under pressure and fueling her fanbase's meltdown. It's like watching a split-screen movie. Caitlin Clark making arenas erupt with historic performances, while Angel Reese fumbles chances and leaves her own supporters searching for scapegoats. One is building a legacy. The other is building a laundry list of excuses. And when reality gets too embarrassing, that's when the Reese crowd turns to the oldest trick in the book. Fake viewership numbers. Suddenly, WNBA Twitter acts like Reese's flop night somehow pulled bigger ratings than the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift's tour, and the moon landing combined. It's comical. Scratch the surface and those record numbers are just padded with highlight clips, social media scrolls, and niche cable comparisons. It's smoke and mirrors. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark doesn't need fake stats. Her numbers are real. Networks see undeniable spikes whenever she plays. Teams are moving games to bigger arenas just to handle demand. And Clark jerseys, they don't just sell, they cause lines out the door and website crashes. This is tangible, measurable stardom. Proof you can't fabricate no matter how many times Reese's camp fudges the math. Which makes the fake number game even more laughable. It's like forging a marathon medal while Clark is still running laps around the competition. And when blaming the coach and inflating the ratings doesn't work, Reese's defenders go to plan C, blaming the refs. Suddenly every whistle is biased, every call is a conspiracy, and the league is supposedly orchestrating a plot to make Angel Reese look bad. All just to prop up Caitlin Clark. Because nothing screams rational debate like suggesting referees are personally conspiring against missed layups. Fizwasam say Angel Reese fans out here lying about viewership from the game burst the Aces 2 nights ago. Fun fact, they'd only averaged around 230,000 average viewers. But just in case y'all don't know, that's not good. That is not good. That's not good. That's bad business. That's bad business, okay? Some fans didn't just stop at blaming the refs or the coach. They turned on Reese's own teammates. Suddenly, Kelsey Mitchell-style leadership and Lexi Hole-level hustle were being demanded of Chicago role-players who were never supposed to carry that burden. According to Reese's loyalists, her teammates weren't setting enough screens, weren't feeding her in the right spots, and weren't doing enough to protect her brand. She's dominant, they say, but she's fragile. That contradiction alone could give anyone whiplash. And the deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes that all of this isn't about basketball. It's about the constant comparison to Caitlin Clark. Everything Reese does, or fails to do, is instantly measured against Clark's shadow. Every missed shot becomes a referendum, every mistake a magnified disaster, and every conversation a tug-of-war between two players on entirely different trajectories. Clark is delivering greatness. Reese is being carried by Twitter threads and fan fiction. Let's go over here. Brick Center posted this. Angel was deep in her bag last night. And let's just check it out right here. Calling for the ball. I don't know if she threw any fits last night. Well, by the way, somebody put up that she's the most blocked player in the wnba. Here's the blunt truth. Angel Reese is not a skilled basketball player. She's got length, hustle, and enough personality to make SportsCenter clips, but pure skill? It's absent. Her footwork is clunky, her touch around the rim shaky, and her decision-making suspect. No amount of finger-pointing, no spreadsheets full of creative metrics, and no imaginary stat padding is going to change that reality. When the moment is on the line, you either deliver or you don't. Caitlin Clark does. Angel Reese didn't. And what makes this comedy even funnier is that the endless excuses from her fanbase aren't helping her. They're dragging her down. Instead of admitting she had a bad night, they twist themselves into Olympic-level gymnastics to explain why none of it was her fault. It's like watching someone trip on the sidewalk and then blame the shoes, the cement company, and the position of the moon, anything except their own clumsiness. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark isn't just holding her own, she's dominating. The scoreboard doesn't count excuses. The league doesn't hand out trophies for narrative building, and sponsors don't cash fake engagement numbers. At the end of the day, only production matters. Clark is putting up points, dishing assists, and elevating her teammates. Angel Reese is fumbling chances and getting dragged by her own highlight reels. Until she proves she can thrive when it matters most, she will remain defined not by her play, but by the chorus of excuses her supporters belt out after every collapse. Stop playing games, y'all. Make yourselves look crazy every time you do this, because we know exactly why you are doing this. We know why y'all doing this. Y'all are so thirsty to try to keep her in some sort of hanging in the balance with Caitlin Clark, and it is not possible. I'm sorry, y'all, it's not possible. You guys are making yourselves look crazy when you do things like this and post fake viewership numbers to try to make her seem more lit than what it is. Stop it. And here's the thing. It's all become painfully predictable. You can practically set a stopwatch. Reese has a bad game. Cue the excuses. Step 1, blame the coach. Step 2, blame the teammates. Step 3, accuse the refs of bias. Step 4, declare that the broadcasters are anti-Reese. Step 5, claim Mercury is in retrograde and the universe itself is rigged. It's a rinse and repeat cycle so consistent it's almost comforting in its absurdity. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is out there hitting logo threes, selling out arenas, and pushing TV ratings to historic highs. Clark doesn't need a defense team. Her game defends itself. Now, let's zoom in on the coach scapegoating, because this one deserves its own comedy special. According to Reese's defenders, she's not a professional athlete in control of her own destiny. She's a helpless pawn trapped in a chess game she can't win. If she succeeds, she's a star. If she fails, she's a victim of poor play calling. It's a win-win narrative for her fans. Either Reese dominates, or it's the coach's fault. It's like baking a cake that collapses in the oven, then blaming the recipe, the oven, and the flour manufacturer instead of admitting you left it in too long. And it doesn't stop there. Fans start rewriting the entire game to fit the excuse. They'll comb through every timeout, substitution, and possession, looking for proof that it was never Reese's fault. Did the coach leave her in too long? That's why she missed shots. Did the coach pull her out? That's why she didn't find rhythm. According to this logic, the coach is always guilty no matter what decision they make. It's the sports version of heads I win, tails you lose. When you run the offense through her, she does great. But at the expense of the whole team, that's a smart-ass comment, and I mean not he's a smart-ass. He's smart, and that's a smart comment. At the expense of the team. Whoa, strikes again, leading the team to another L, fighting for the worst record in the league. So impressive. When blaming the coach isn't enough, the next scapegoat becomes the system itself. Suddenly, the Chicago Sky's entire roster construction is under fire. The narrative flips too. Reese didn't fail, the team failed her. Contrast that with Caitlin Clark's reality. Clark walked into the WNBA's worst franchise, a team on life support, and transformed them into a playoff contender in year one. She didn't inherit a dynasty, she built one. She didn't complain about her system, she elevated it. Her ability to hit impossible shots, control pace, and empower role players made the Fever not just relevant, but dangerous. And notice this. Clark's fans don't waste time complaining about systems. They're too busy celebrating actual wins. Which brings us to the great viewership saga, a comedy routine in its own right. According to Reese's defenders, every single game she plays is a ratings juggernaut, shattering Nielsen boxes like a Marvel premiere. But peel back the layers, and the truth is far less glamorous. Many of those sold-out crowds, half the seats were giveaways. Many of those record ratings, they came from obscure time slots with no competition, or were padded with highlight clip counts from Instagram reels. If you squint hard enough, maybe an empty seat does look like a fan waving a foam finger. But last time I checked, empty chairs don't buy jerseys. The fine print on these supposed records is laughable. Maybe Reese set the highest rating in a Wednesday afternoon game on a niche cable channel. Maybe her numbers look big when compared to seasons from a decade ago, back when coverage barely existed. These aren't historic moments, they're trivia questions. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark is setting numbers you can't spin. Teams are moving games to NBA arenas just to contain demand. Secondary ticket sales are surging. ESPN is seeing legitimate spikes in national ratings when she plays. The receipts are real, verifiable, and undeniable. And that's exactly why the fake numbers look so ridiculous. It's like bragging about winning a backyard race while Caitlin Clark is out there running marathons with Olympic sprinters. One performance is fantasy, the other is history. And when the inflated stats eventually collapse under scrutiny, Reese's fans retreat to their last line of defense. Conspiracy theories. Suddenly, every ref is biased. Every whistle is personal. Every broadcaster is on the take. Apparently, the entire basketball world is working overtime to make Angel Reese look bad, all to boost Caitlin Clark. Which is hilarious because nobody forced Reese to brick layups. Nobody whispered in her ear to commit turnovers. Nobody tripped her during crunch time, except maybe her own nerves. Yet her defenders cling to the narrative that the universe itself is conspiring against her. But here's the reality. All this noise doesn't shield Reese, it exposes her. Every excuse makes her look weaker, like she can't stand on her own. A true star doesn't need a list of alibis to validate their greatness. Caitlin Clark doesn't. Her three-point bombs, her court vision, her leadership, Those speak louder than any PR spin. Reese, meanwhile, is drowning in the sound of her fanbase's excuse parade. At the end of the day, the scoreboard doesn't lie. The highlight reels don't lie. The sold-out arenas don't lie. Caitlin Clark is dominating women's basketball, redefining what it means to be a superstar. Angel Reese, on the other hand, is stuck playing catch-up, weighed down by excuses, inflated numbers, and a conspiracy carousel. It's the difference between a generational icon and a player trying desperately not to trip over her own shadow. Do you support Clark, the baby goat, or do you support Reese, the baby giraffe?